Orthoneurotechnologies is a privately held, American family-owned company with a single mission: to enhance and elevate the profession by combining the most modern electromechanical technological achievements with the solid body of research proving the efficacy of the discipline. No other therapeutic modality has better survived the test of time and investigation, and no other profession has demonstrated a brighter future. Thanks to the doctors and research scientists who came before us, many of whom continue to serve the profession and to steer our metaphorical ship, the major battles have been fought and won, and the research has been meticulously conducted and published to elevate the discipline to the level of professionalism that we enjoy today. There's never been a better time in history to be a doctor of chiropractic. Retrospectively, it would be fair to say that the Dynadjust project was born out of frustration. In my first year, about 1987, 88, we were watching an explosion in computer technology, and yet we were still doing practice drills thrusting into tables in thin air, and basically we were frustrated. We knew there had to be a better way, and when we complained about it, one of the instructors actually challenged us to see what we could do about it. The need for the development of a modern HVLA training system was certainly nothing new. For over a century, we as a discipline have struggled with fundamentally significant issues of which every chiropractic institution, instructor, and student is acutely aware. In order for us to understand the issue and come up with a realistic solution, we set out to review the literature and to consult with research scientists, faculty members, and students in order to understand their concerns and garner as many different perspectives as possible. Even though the Dynadjust project has always been a commercial venture, in recognition of the gravity of the advent of this technology, many officials and experts from every genre of the chiropractic profession have generously cooperated with our efforts in many ways, from providing sage advice, lending their campus facilities, and even allowing large-scale student focus groups and testing of our systems. We have even received special concessions, such as impromptu meetings and demonstration sessions at ACC/RAC conventions and other venues. Even the members of our distinguished board of advisors serve without compensation. Of course, we are very appreciative of this level of cooperation, and we are determined that our products and services live up to the expectations of the profession as a whole. The following video clips contain relevant information which we used in our process of analyzing the present state of the art and science of HVLA procedures. First up, an instructor's perspective.
The chiropractic adjustment is our fundamental difference. It's our edge. It's our advantage. The simple fact of the matter is that in order to perform a safe, comfortable, and effective chiropractic adjustment, you must be able to deliver a highly controlled force to a particular portion of the patient's anatomy in a specific direction to a precise depth, usually at a very high velocity. There is little room for error. It's difficult to explain to the students the psychomotor skills necessary to perform an adjustment without a demonstration. It's impossible for the students to learn these psychomotor skills without practice. Obviously, you can't routinely demonstrate actual spinal manipulation techniques on students in class. Obviously, you can't encourage students to practice their unrefined skills on each other or on family and friends.
One of the instructors who taught neurodiagnostics and practiced neurodiagnostics, and he also taught technique, Dr. Rothman, took a look at the device at my request and actually wrote a letter to the vice president of the ACA at the time, Dr. J. Ray Morgan, recommending that they endorse what we called an impulsometer back then. And then, of course, the inevitable happens in chiropractic college. People will practice on each other, won't they?
Yes, they
even though the mandate comes down from above, thou shalt not touch other students.
But it's inevitable.
Of course they're going to do it. They have to.
When you have nothing to measure your control, it's tough. We were using pillows and tables.
Really? How'd you use a pillow?
Taking a pillow, holding onto it, and thrusting into the pillow.
Oh, I see.
And there was no way to measure velocity, no way to measure the amplitude, and it was sloppy.
Right, so you couldn't tell how deep you were going or how controlled the thrust was, or,
nope, couldn't tell.
And especially how fast am I? Am I better at it today than I was last month? What we have observed from the students during the early phases of implementation of the Dynadjust systems at the colleges has been overwhelmingly eager acceptance. Of course, for the most part, this generation of students grew up with the internet and all of the advantages of a high-tech lifestyle. They have been eager to embrace the Dynadjust systems. This clip of a student test subject from the first published Dynadjust research study says it all.
At first I was kind of, well, this could be some kind of toy or something, but then once you actually start doing it and start realizing what good it can be for you, then yeah, it was definitely a big difference.
And of course, many research scientists within the chiropractic profession and other disciplines had struggled with the same issues, and a plethora of published research was available to help guide our efforts. As you know, the process of learning manipulation historically is one that has been by trial and error. It's principally been rated by our faculty as on a basis of choreography and instructor judgment. There has been no objective standard. There has been no criteria other than having someone that one of us or someone we trusted was ordained as being a good practitioner who was brought into the classroom to teach them how to do it. We looked at the various other disciplines and quickly observed that there were many ongoing efforts to develop human analog technology to help them in their training and enhancing their level of skills. We very quickly decided that it would be counterproductive to build an anatomical analog. As I think everyone would agree, there's no possible substitute for the human body when it comes to developing the necessary palpation acumen. As doctors and students, we must palpate thousands of bodies, both normal and abnormal and everything in between, in order to master our art. The analogy of the surgeon is appropriate here. The surgeon may graduate at the top of his class and have intimate knowledge of his procedures, but if he can't wield the blade, he can't perform a surgery. Instead, we concentrated on designing the ultimate system for developing our most unique asset, our HVLA adjusting skills, and the Ortho-Neuro Dynadjust Odyssey began. So with that in mind, we knew that job one was to define skill.
They came up with 5 words. Is that a good procedure is fast, it is forceful or has force, it is precise, it is confident, and it is comfortable.
Our goal was to create a light, portable, wireless, and ergonomically designed instrument and integrated support system capable of measuring every aspect of the actual dynamics of the manipulative thrust, and it must do so in any doctor-patient positioning. It would need to be capable of providing useful, accurate, objective feedback in real time. It should provide variable resistance settings and infinitely variable parameter settings for use in simulating and training for any HVLA thrusting procedure. The system should be capable of collecting, analyzing, and cataloging the skill development of the doctor or student in the adjusting labs or as continuing education programs for licensed practitioners through an interactive web-based service center. Once we had a solid, viable version of our concept in hand, we conducted a 2-year-long feasibility study in which we visited nearly all of the chiropractic colleges on the continent and demonstrated our technology. The verdict was unanimous. Our concept was fully accepted, and the excitement, especially among technique professors and students, was palpable. In approximately 1999, we realized that it was time for a research project to be conducted with the Dynadjust instruments. During the course of our consultations with many leaders in the profession, it very quickly became obvious that in order to be heard and taken seriously by the profession, that any research conducted would need to be completely independent of our little company. And if we had any hope of seeing that research published in a peer-reviewed journal, we would need to garner the attention of a research scientist with vast experience in exactly the kind of subject matter with which we were engaged. After many conversations and interviews, we were referred to Dr. John J. Triano. Dr. Triano had developed a true simulator utilizing actual human subjects for testing. Happily, Dr. Triano recognized that we were on the right track, and he agreed to participate in the development and research of the Dynadjust technology. Dr. Triano designed and conducted his study at Texas Chiropractic College using 38 students.
I put the biggest barriers in front of the Dynadjust I could find and still be reasonable. Okay?
Half of the students trained with the Dynadjust device and half trained with the standard curriculum. The results of the study were surprising even to Dr. Triano and the Dynadjust team. In fact, with one of the most important aspects of spinal manipulation skill, the speed of the thrust, the men who trained with the instrument were 9 times as proficient, and the women were 18 times more proficient than the research subjects who did not train with the Dynadjust instrument during that study. And similar results were demonstrated with other parameters. We were very interested in that gender bias finding because extrapolated out, it shows the power of the system in that a person with lesser development and lesser skills, everyone has a different starting point. But it demonstrated that the power of the system to enhance those skills, no matter where your starting point is, was very, very important.
I think when considering getting into two different schools, I would definitely consider the one that offered the Dynadjust tool.
I would pick the school that used Dynadjust. Yeah, I think I would definitely choose the school that offered Dynadjust.
I would have to say yes. I would pick the Dynadjust just because it showed that the school cared that much more about the students and about the ability for them to make their bread and butter when they get out, and that's basically what it comes down to.
How much better did one group get than another? But in the process of getting better on some parameter or another, the people without the Dynadjust actually lost elements of skill as it relates to this parameter, as it relates to the duration on this axis. So a very clear differential between the groups.
The explanation was actually very simple. He explained to me that when a person concentrates on one aspect, such as line of drive or depth of thrust, if they concentrate on that to the exclusion of the other parameters, they can lose skill, and that's why the Dynadjust shines, because the Dynadjust monitors every aspect and gives you the results of every thrust in real time, objective data that can be analyzed and corrected for deficits in real time with every single thrust. Dr. Turano's work was published in JMPT in 2 separate installments in 2002 and 2003. We were granted permission to interview the student test subjects on the day that they tested for the last time and turned in their Dynadjust instruments. Every student subject at the Texas Chiropractic College study reported that from their perspective, the Dynadjust system was a faster, safer, and more complete and efficient method for training for the psychomotor skills, and that it should be adopted immediately. There was not a single dissenter in the group. And the project got a huge shot in the arm when in 2005 I was invited to the inaugural class of the Stanford University's Emerging Entrepreneurs Workshop, where I presented the Dynadjust technology to an amazing group of doctors and scientists and lawyers, of course. If I ever had any doubts about whether or not our science was being taken seriously by our peers or even our rivals, well, those doubts were put to rest forever. Rather than attempting to build a simulator, we realized that it would be a portable training device that would best serve our goals. The training device should be a personal appliance to which every student could have ready full-time access, and it should be capable of taking advantage of the latest technological advances and proven scientific principles of motor skills training, combining dynamic resistance training, isometric training, and the essential components of highly effective plyometric training. Such a device would allow students to practice their dynamic thrust safely at home and without the need for a human partner, thus allowing for far more frequent and productive practice sessions and potentially clearing valuable laboratory time. With immediate, detailed objective feedback reported right on the instrument screen with every thrust, skill levels would increase at an exponential rate by avoiding wasteful trial and error. Infinitely variable metric settings and postures, and the ability to perform exercises that target with great specificity the desired muscle groups provide the broadest range of skill development possible. The elaborate OrthoNeuro Service Center would allow students to track their day-to-day progress and would allow instructors to easily recognize deficiencies in performance and prescribe customized regimens to correct those deficits for each individual student. Of course, this level of documentation would also serve to assure instructors about the fitness of students for advancement and would provide confidence that the student was ready to begin working on actual human subjects. It would allow instructors to identify individuals who may be struggling with their skill development and to intercede with corrective prescriptions before the student loses confidence in his ability to become a skilled practitioner. In researching the existing literature from across the disciplines, we noticed that several common threads ran through these studies, the most significant of which was the fact that even relatively brief training regimens with mechanical devices appeared to result in lasting increases in crucial skill levels. We were determined to identify the most beneficial training methodologies in order to incorporate them into our technology. We realized that the most effective training methodologies combine several key principles of neuromusculoskeletal training, namely dynamic resistance training, isometric muscle training, and perhaps most importantly, plyometric training. For those of you who remember the early Dynadjust project efforts and perhaps participated or cooperated to some extent, you may have wondered why it has taken until now for the technology to be offered. The following segments will explain. As amazing and exciting as the results of Dr. Triano's study were, the simple fact of the matter was that these original prototypes used in his study at Texas Chiropractic College had somewhat limited capabilities. While they could accurately measure the speed and depth of the thrust, and the physical design of the instruments had been proven effective in allowing the user to closely approximate doctor-patient positioning in order to target the specific muscle groups, ligaments, and tendons for training, their mostly analog technology could not measure deviations in line of drive or the force of the thrust. And perhaps most importantly, these units were far too expensive. We knew that if we were going to present the chiropractic profession with a completely new and ultimately beneficial system for training our practitioners, it would have to be much more affordable and with far more functionality. In other words, we weren't quite ready for prime time, and we knew it. So that was what we learned. We learned that in order for our instrument and service center and all of the elaborate support systems that we'd set up, in order for it to have the effect we wanted, it would have to measure every parameter, not just some. It would have to be able to stand alone. A person should be able to use it at home or in the class or whatever, and have every single parameter measured and verifiable with objective data immediately. And so we had to go back to the drawing board. We literally had to start over. But Dr. Triano told us what to expect if we got it right.
The other thing that I think would be very useful is to work with the schools in developing CME credit hours, where the Dynadjust is a part of that seminar process. Giving the school something to co-venture with you on an educational basis, which will be a newer product. If the school can be convinced to embed this in its curriculum, that you will see its use start out in the first semesters related to training, then it will jump into the clinic, and it'll be a part of the entrance tests for getting into the clinic, and then it'll jump to exit when you get out of the clinic, and then it could even jump to licensure in the States.
So with these things in mind, knowing that we may have the opportunity to co-venture with schools to provide our technology for the benefit of the schools in terms of producing online continuing education courses and providing the technology to the students in the school, and maybe even to regulating bodies and insurance bodies, the advent of the internet was near. Online continuing education was in its infancy, but it was definitely coming. We went back to the drawing board and redesigned the Dynadjust to meet those challenges. It would take almost 6 more years of exploration of each and every new advancement of promising electronic technological achievements in many different arenas before finally the newest computer and internet technology would catch up with our concept. And the answers came in a most unexpected way. In approximately 2009, with the advent and proliferation of certain gaming devices, which utilized sophisticated motion and force sensing technology, we knew that the time was right to complete our mission. We knew that the availability of these advanced miniaturized and far less expensive electronic components would greatly facilitate the further development of far more functional and affordable Dynadjust instruments. These new electronic components now being produced in vast quantities for the gaming industry would allow the Dynadjust instruments to measure and report the details of even combined motion thrusts, as well as the force and speed of the thrust, depth calculations, tissue pull measurements, and much more, and all for a tiny fraction of the cost. With an infusion of substantial venture capital, the cooperation of Dr. Triano, Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College, and other fine institutions, and our location in the cradle of the high-tech universe, we were able to acquire the necessary licensing of advanced technology and garner the cooperation of some of the world's finest engineers to tackle the challenge of creating the ultimate solution to spinal manipulation training. Under the capable guidance of our CEO, David Despard, Ortho Technologies was born, and we positioned ourselves to take our concepts to the very pinnacle of technological achievement. In order to create some of the finest products possible, we engaged the same companies that are responsible for such products as the Sonicare and Clarisonic healthcare technologies, the Segway personal transportation vehicles, and the world-famous In Situ unmanned reconnaissance aircraft. We also made the commitment that our products would be designed and produced exclusively in the USA. Within 2.5 years of intense research and development, we were finally ready to submit our accomplishments to the chiropractic profession. It is safe to say that the new, highly advanced Dynadjust instruments and our elaborate cloud-based Ortho support and service center would not have been possible to build just a few short years ago. The technology simply did not exist. Thanks to our engineers and IT experts, we have successfully combined the very latest and most effective and accurate technology available today. Each Dynadjust instrument incorporates the highest quality components that are manufactured by the most prestigious companies in the U.S. Every component is carefully assembled, inspected, and tested at our Ortho Neurotechnologies laboratory in Kirkland, Washington, and each unit is precision machined, hand-fitted, calibrated, and tuned by our expert staff to ensure that each and every unit performs consistently and exactly to specifications. These exacting measures guarantee that every unit that leaves the laboratory will serve the user with the highest degree of accuracy possible, and every unit is warranted to do so without exception. We at Ortho Neurotechnologies are very proud of the fact that the Dynadjust system is the only training methodology capable of combining these crucial elements to produce vastly superior results, resulting in far more gifted doctors, and can do so much more quickly and efficiently than ever before. And we are very pleased to finally be able to offer it at a price that is more affordable than a cup of coffee per day. From the perspective of the business offices and administrations of our schools, the impetus behind implementation of the new Dynadjust systems is obvious, as expressed by administration officials, where the logistics of the Dynadjust implementation have already been studied and the systems are implemented or about to be. Aside from all of the obvious technical and safety benefits of adding this technology to our curriculum, the fact of the matter is that if having it means that our retention rate will increase, the answer is simple math. With the cost of the new Dynadjust systems now less than $2 per day per student, the lost revenue from a single freshman or sophomore per year would pay for all of our students to have the Dynadjust technology several times over. We would submit that a year or so of structured training with the Dynadjust system is probably more beneficial than half a decade of field experience in terms of the acquisition of physical adjusting acumen, and the profession will certainly benefit from the advent of this incredible technology in that every doctor, regardless of his physical stature or natural gifts, will be able to see more patients, deliver superior adjustments with far less fatigue, and much lower risk of injury to the doctor or patient.
We now, I submit, based on the data I'm about to show you, can quantify and validate individual skill performance so that you can say that this student is high quality. And we can represent where no other profession is capable of doing it, that this student qualifies, he should be licensed.
The Dynadjust system is a win-win proposition for our students, our instructors, our institutions, our insurance, regulating and testing bodies, and of course for the public. It will also raise the bar exponentially for our competition and our rivals to help maintain the chiropractic profession as the unquestioned leaders in spinal manipulation. From the perspective of the field practitioner, the advantages of the Dynadjust systems are multifold. Like any physical activity, HVLA skills must be developed and maintained and have the potential to continually improve. This new technology has the ability to challenge the skills of even the most seasoned masters and to make actual beneficial physiological changes. Whether you are looking to deliver quality care to more patients with less fatigue, mitigate the ravages of time, or are just interested in ultra-convenient and beneficial continuing education, the Dynadjust courses offer something great for every doctor. Incorporating this advanced technology into our teaching and testing venues will help to reaffirm and maintain our status as the only profession that has never wavered in our commitment to this powerful, safe, and beneficial modality and philosophy. At Ortho Neurotechnologies, we are very proud of our ongoing commitment to fund research and constantly strive to partner with the leading chiropractic scientists and institutions for the betterment of the profession. We are growing. The profession is growing, and public acceptance and interdisciplinary cooperation and recognition is growing, and it will be the solid scientific validation of our concepts that maintains this trend. Ortho Neurotechnologies is here for the long run, and we'll continue to serve the profession to the best of our abilities, ever improving our technology and continuing to research every aspect of skill development for the doctor of chiropractic. By incorporating the advantages of every aspect of modern internet capability and leading-edge electronics and computer technology, the Dynadjust Spinal Manipulation Training Systems is the embodiment of the next logical evolution in HVLA training befitting the next generation of chiropractic students and doctors. As a company, we stand ready to assist you in implementing these systems as seamlessly as possible. On behalf of all of us at the Ortho Neurotechnologies Laboratories, I thank you for your time.